Hi there, and thank you for tuning in to The Social Circus, where every week we dive into a variety of topics covering social media, mindset, and how to run your business. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode.
Hello, my lovely listeners, and welcome to another episode of The Social Circus. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about AI. Now, I feel like that's all everyone talks about at the moment, particularly our large language models like ChatGPT and Gemini, and how we can use them in our business and how they're going to replace everyone, all this kind of crazy information. And what I know is that I do face-to-face and online training in AI really regularly. Probably every 1 or 2 weeks, I'm doing a workshop. And what I see really up close and personal is that most people have no idea how to use AI. It is completely overwhelming, and that you feel like you're kind of getting left behind. So if that is you, this episode is exactly what you are going to need, because we see people talking about, oh, you just do this and you just do that. And for most of us, that is way beyond where we are at the moment in our business and in our skills with things like ChatGPT. So I wanted to start with a little bit of a basic. So most of the AI that we hear people talking about are, as I mentioned, our large language models or our LLMs. Now, they are just a subset of AI, which is known as generative AI, as in it generates something. So it will generate some content, it will generate an image, it will generate a video. AI is much bigger than that. So just know that we're talking about large language models are generative AI. Now, when you go and use these tools like ChatGPT, or perhaps you're using Gemini, you've tried out Meta's Llama, all of them are used in a conversational way. So we put in a question and they answer them. Now, in the world of AI, we start with what is known as a prompt. And a prompt is, help me do this, or can you help me? So we're giving it some information, a prompt, so that it can respond to us. Now, all over the internet, people are selling prompts. They sell you like 50 prompts to help your marketing. I want to just say, please don't be lured into buying prompts because you don't need them. AI can help you with that. Now, I wanted to discuss sort of five ideas today of using AI. And I don't want to talk about content planning because everybody talks about, oh, you just put this prompt in and it'll map up your content for the month. Absolutely, it will. So I feel like we've got that covered. Most people understand it can do things like your blogs, it can do your podcast. I've thought about using it for my podcast, but I'm a bit too loose because I love to talk off the cuff. And so I actually I write down 5 ideas on a piece of paper. So this podcast has got 10 words as my prompt. I'm sure that I could use AI to make it more robust, but if you've ever been to any of my workshops, I'm a very, intuitive trainer. So I literally have slides to keep me on track. I'd much rather talk into the room and talk into the space. And very much the same for my podcast. I don't use it for writing my podcast because I want to teach you what I know kind of like in my head. And if I was to use AI, I would probably start to read and I would sound a little bit weird. So you can use it for all of those things like blogs, podcasts, writing videos, creating reels, creating your content and mapping it out, all of that kind of stuff. So I think most of us have got that nailed down and we're not going to talk about that today. I'm going to give you 5 ways that you can use AI in your business that you might not have thought of. Now, if you are doing this, give yourself a little pat on the back because you're probably doing better than most people. But because if you go on Insta, it feels like everyone's doing amazing things with AI and you're like, I don't know how to do that. I'm getting left behind. This episode is to either give you confidence or to reassure you that you're on the right path. So let's talk about one of my favorite things to do, which is market research and competitor analysis. So it should be no surprise to any of you that this is one of my favorite tools to use AI for because it takes so much time to do competitor analysis. And I'll give you an example of this. I've got a mastermind that's in its 3rd year of business. So when we first started my mastermind, I gave my beautiful assistant, Claire, a bunch of websites. And I said to her, could you please go through and have a look at these different websites, put together a summary of what do they include in their mastermind? What is the cost? What are the terms and conditions? What are the extras? And it probably took her a day or 2 to collate that information. The other thing that's really hard is that if you go to people's websites, they don't always have the prices there, but they're often hidden somewhere and AI can generally find that. So what I would do now for market research is if I was developing a new product in my business, I'm trying to think what I might create. Maybe I'm creating a membership. I would go to the internet and I'll go, these 4 people, or I just go to Google if I don't know and say, this is a membership for people who want to have a digital business. So I would put digital business, digital products, membership. And then the results that I get, I would put all of the links to those websites into ChatGPT and say to it, I'm thinking of starting a mastermind, or a membership for digital product businesses. These are 4 places that I've found. Can you put into a table a summary of what is their cost? What are their payment options? What do you get? How long are you committed to? What are the bonuses? What are the upsells? And put it in a table and I'll be able to see it. It's going to take it about 30 seconds to do that for me. So fast, so quick, so efficient. Now, that's a kind of a big market research competitor analysis. But what I want you to understand is that you can use it for just small things. So if you're looking at someone's brand, you're like, I really like their brand. You can just say to ChatGPT, here's a link to this website. Tell me how this brand positions itself. Who are they targeting? And what could I do differently if I wanted to stand out from them? So it's like having a little spy on your team. And I love that idea because, again, I'm really experienced in marketing and I could probably, with enough time and energy, work that out for myself. But remember, the purpose of AI is to save us time and to bring in extra expertise into our business. So I love using it for market research. It's one of my favorite tools. Now, the other thing I like doing with AI is I like to use it for brainstorming. And I do this really regularly because I am, again, quite a creative person and I love coming up with new ideas for new products or offerings in my business. But what I will do is I'll ask ChatGPT, and I use the app on my phone, so I speak with Chatty and we have conversations. So I ran in my business last week a mid-year reset for the women in my mastermind. And I said to ChatGPT, because we'd had a conversation about it beforehand, this went really well. And what the big takeouts were is that people liked the connecting, they liked having time and space to have really valuable conversations. And I want to do another one at the end of the year, and I want to include vision boarding. Let's throw down some ideas of what we could include. And so then ChatGPT comes back and goes, what about if we do this and that? And I'm like, no, that doesn't feel like me. I'm not there. This is what more like me. Let's throw down some other ideas. And so essentially, it's like having a person to bounce ideas off, to, I guess you could say, vibe off and kind of say, these are my ideas. What do you think? How are we going? How are we tracking? And I love that because this is, I would say, one of the hardest things about working for yourself. And I have to say, I worked in corporate marketing for 15 years and I always worked in a team. We always sat, even when I was a manager, in open plan spaces. And I realized there was a very strategic reason for that, is because when you have conversations with the people around you, that's when the juices flow, that's when the creativity comes. And when you work by yourself, there is just none of that conversation that helps spark ideas. So I think that AI is probably almost as good as it gets to help you bounce ideas off and to help you brainstorm. So if you haven't tried that yet, I really encourage you to have a little go at that because I love it. I really, really enjoy it. Now, the other thing that you can use it for is for customer support. And we hear this a lot, but you can help it write your FAQs. You can help it understand your customer queries. And you can even plug it into things like ManyChat. So if you use ManyChat automations, which is, well, predominantly an Instagram messaging automation, but it also extends to other platforms now, you can help it train and give it your FAQs and train it to create those answers for you. Now, I'll be really honest, this year, I would say I've had more customer complaints about auto renews, auto purchases, auto charges in my business than I have ever had. And I get some really sad stories about why people can't afford them. I've had people say that their rent got declined because a payment of $99 came out. People saying I didn't get any value from it, so I want to cancel it, even though it's a subscription. And so people tell me all these hard things, okay? Now, this can be, I just want to say this to you, if you have to manage these yourself in your business, it can be really demoralizing and it can make you feel like, what am I doing wrong? And the only reason I don't feel like that is because most of those things that exist in my business have been there for a very long time and I haven't had those kind of level of, and they're not complaints, but they are, I guess they're second guessing or they're challenging a purchase, right? So I know that that is the economic climate that we're in right now. And so with that in mind, I often put someone's email into ChatGPT and ask it to help me write a really succinct response. These are my terms and conditions. This is where it is. Please write something really nice, because I don't want to get up close and personal with that. And I don't want to spend too much energy thinking about people's problems, because it can get you down. Okay. So you've got to be really strong with your mindset. And so if it can help you with those kind of things, I would really encourage you to do that. So customer support, again and again every day. You can even, like I said, plug them into ManyChat. So to break down customer support, I want to talk about ManyChat automations, because this would be definitely my next sort of unknown way in which people can use AI. So if you're not using ManyChat, that's completely fine. You can just fast forward me for a couple of minutes. But here's what I want to say. ManyChat is a really great tool to set up automations to create that process where someone can comment or DM you a word and they get a series of sequences. Now, I was doing this myself for quite a long time, and I had definitely purchased some some templated automations on ManyChat. I actually sell them myself. But one of the things I want you to know is that if you have used AI to help you plan out like a sales page, to help you write your social media copy for a particular offer, you are doing yourself a disservice if you then don't use that same chat or same conversation to say to the AI, now please write me a ManyChat sequence. Give me what the flow looks like. Give me the split flows. Give me the yes or no. Give me all of those things. And again, if you have programmed the AI to understand your tone, style, language, and voice, it should all sound like you, and it should all feel really, really easy. So I really like it for the ManyChat automations. I find it incredibly useful. And I often think that I know that if I had to write those myself, they would be A, much shorter, because I don't have the mental bandwidth to create them all the time. And B, I don't think that they would be as detailed and robust and as thorough, because many ChatGPT will always say, offer them the chance of, yes, I want to know more, or no, I'm not ready yet. I never remember to include that when I'm doing that, because people ask questions and they're like, oh, actually, I'm not ready for that, or, whatever it is. So I use it a lot for my ManyChat automations, and I can't tell you how much I think it has improved the workflows and the automations that I'm using. So if you're not using it, for those, if you're not using ManyChat, I want to kind of flag the idea that you can use it for automations and you can use it for workflow mapping. So you can use it for mapping out a new client onboarding process, for example, and you can tell it, this is a system that I use. So my ChatGPT knows that I use Simplero as my software. It knows if I'm doing things like email marketing, how to insert a custom field. It knows all of that information. So if you can get it to help with workflow mapping, then you're going to be well away, because that sort of stuff is boring. And if it's not our zone of genius, we often feel like we get sort of stuck out. Oh, now I have to think about how to do that. And I don't do it very often, so I haven't got it at top of mind. So I want you to have a think about that and what would that look like for your business. So a couple more ideas that I think you could use AI for is to help you with client testimonials. Now, can I be really honest and say this? I have over 100 5-star Google reviews, and I do a terrible job of using those in my business. Now, just being honest and being transparent. But here's what I want you to understand is that if you have client testimonials, I take screenshots of little comments from people when I do like a webinar and people tell me that it was great. I have all of those somewhere. So what you can do is you can use AI to help you do something useful with them. So it can help you embed them into your sales pages, so you can have a series of testimonials there. It can help you turn a testimonial into a post. It can help you create a case study. So the difference between a testimonial and a case study is a testimonial is my words that I have said about working with you. The case study is your words about what my process looked like. Now, a good case study should be, where were they before? Like when they started with you, what did it look like? What was the transformation? What did they do? So they worked with me for 6 months, for example. And then what does it look like after? Now, you can program ChatGPT with all of that information. You could say, Jane came to me because she wanted to create a low ticket product. We worked together. We did 10 hours of coaching together. And at the end, she had a product ready to sell. Okay. Now, I've given it that case study information. Then I'm just going to say, here's Jane's testimonial about working with me. I want you to turn this into a case study style post. Maybe you can turn it into a blog. And I really want you to help me make the most of it. So if this isn't something that you are doing at the moment, I want you to think about why you are not. And I'm kind of do as I say, not as I do in this example, because I definitely haven't been doing that. Now, the other thing that you can be using it for is thinking about mapping out your customer journey. Now, this is something that I'm a huge fan of and I love teaching people. So a customer journey is how does someone move through your business? It's sometimes called a customer ascension model. So if you've heard that term, it's the same thing. Now, what this means is that if I wanted to come and work with you, and I'm going to use today a graphic designer as an example. So if someone is a graphic designer, people often jump into their business and buy a branding package, okay? But they often won't buy the biggest package to start with because they want to see what your work is like. So a customer journey model might start with one, the basic logo package. And then at the end, you could upsell them to the next package. And then you might upsell them like, here's your branding for Christmas and here's your branding for Mother's Day or Valentine's Day. So you have to think about if someone buys one thing from you, how do they move through your business? Now, ChatGPT or any large language model is amazing for this because what you can do is you can tell it, this is everything I have to sell. Like, these are all my products, services, packages, offers. And I want you then to put it in there with information like pricing, who is your audience, and ask ChatGPT or AI, whatever you're using, to say to it, can you please map out my customer journey based on my products? And then you can start to say to it, what's missing in my business? So it might say to you, well, no, you don't have a low ticket way in which people can test out your services. So that might be a gap that you have in your business. You might have no high ticket offer or no one-on-one offer. Maybe that's intentional, maybe it's not. But what it's going to do, it's going to show you, and it can put it into a table for you if you prefer a visual representation to just words. And then you can see this is what my business needs to look like, and this is what it currently looks like. So based on that, I then maybe need to change some pricing of some offers, or maybe I need to bring in a new offer. But I certainly will have a much clearer understanding of the customer journey for customers in my business and what I need to tweak, change, add, or subtract, okay? And be really, really clear on those. So if you haven't been using AI for any of those above ideas, I hope that you feel inspired to do so, because what I do know is that we are going to be seeing more and more AI come into every single part of our business. And what I really want for you is I want you to use it in ways that feel like they're going to help you, they're going to support you, and they're going to save you time. But I think most importantly, they're going to save you mental bandwidth. Because I would say without exception, every single business owner that I speak to or whose path I cross complains about the fact that we are now busier than we've ever been. And if you are of my vintage, we grew up with the Jetsons and they had so much free time because of automation that they didn't know how to spend their free time. Here we are living in 2025 and I feel like I am busier than ever and my to-do list in my business never gets done. So what I really want to encourage you to think about is how can I use AI to save me time in my business, to save me mental bandwidth, or to act as an extra employee in my business. Now, I've given you 5, actually it might have been 6, sorry. I've given you 5 ideas today on using AI that you might not have been exposed to. But I'm going to give you one last idea that I would love you to think about. In your business, if you are struggling, I want you to have a conversation with AI and I want you to say to it, I don't have enough time. Here's a breakdown of the tasks that I do, and you can tell it how you work each week. And then you can say to it, how can you help me? How can you support me? What are the efficiencies in here? How can we scale this? How can we do this to take less time? Because here's the thing about AI that is really, really hard. And I'll be really honest and say, I find this a little bit hard as someone who I have dedicated my life to marketing. I did an undergraduate degree. I graduated from university when I was 21. I have worked in marketing and comms ever since then. I've got postgrad and masters in marketing and comms. And I like to think that I am a marketing expert. But here's the truth. When I work with AI, I feel like a novice because it brings together all of the marketing prowess of every single textbook that I did or did not read during all of my studies, all of the case studies that exist out there. It is phenomenal. But the great thing about it is it's accessible to everyone. However, you have to start asking it and you have to start using it to get some value from it. So I really want to encourage you today to, if you've been hovering around the edges and maybe just using AI to maybe write you some posts or help you plan out blogs or map out podcasts, things like that, I want to challenge you today to do more. And I'd love you to take away one of the ideas that I've shared today and say, I'm going to have a try at using it for workflows. I'm going to have a try at using it for brainstorming or for competitor analysis. I really want to challenge you to try using it for something that you haven't previously done before, because I think you're going to be really surprised by the results. I think you're going to feel really heartened that maybe this can get easier running a business and maybe there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I hope today has inspired you. I'd love to hear what your steps are moving forward. Remember, you can always send me a DM on Instagram. I'm at Online Social Butterfly. I would love to hear from you to hear, did this strike a chord? Did you get some new ideas from it? Are you going to do something different? Because it is my hope that when you listen to this podcast, you feel inspired and you're able to take some action. That's what I really want for you. So I hope you're going to have a fabulous rest of your day. And as always, thank you for tuning into the Social Circus. I will catch you the same time next week.
Platform. And if you even felt more excited, you could share my podcast with your friends who you think would get great value from it. Thanks so much again for tuning in.